we're about to start in a few minutes. For those of you who are already in or watching, thank you so much. Welcome to Bow and Arrow Tarot. Today we are doing the Gemini weekly reading. All right. Give everybody a couple more minutes. It's only 3:59. We got one more minute before the official start of the video. And for those of you who are cross-watching or you have fire placement in your chart, the fire signs are up now. The fire weekly. So Aries, Leo, Sagittarius is up. And now we're going to be doing... Now it's Gemini. At 5 o'clock will be Libra, and at 6 o'clock will be Aquarius. And then later on tonight, we will get on with the water signs. So welcome, welcome. Thank you for stopping by Bow and Arrow Tarot. This is the weekly reading for the sign of Pisces. My camera just shook. My cat just walked by and knocked the camera. All right, guys. So we're going to... If you're not a regular on my channel, I pull out 3 romance angel cards, and then we get into the animal spirits as well. And then we pull out a series of 3-card forecasts with the Radiant Rider-Waite deck. All right, guys. So this is all about the week of October 13th to the 19th. And let's get right into it, Gemini. All right, here we go. You're going to pull out your romance angel messages. And first out, we have stay optimistic about your love life. All right. Positive thinking and faith will bring you romance. All right. So very good. Also, we have pay attention to red flags. Signs are cautioning you, all right? So for some of you, there's red flags in your life. Now, some of these angel messages can be general as well. It doesn't have to be about relationships per se, all right? And then we have soulmate. So some of you are dealing with soulmate energy. This, yes, indeed, this is your soulmate. So if you have a love connection, perhaps it's a very deep one, a very new one. Or maybe one that's already connected, but there's certain issues that you're dealing with. All right, so these are the romance angel messages for this week for Gemini. Stay optimistic, pay attention to red flags and soulmate. So seemingly different, messages. Let's get right into your animal spirits. We really won't know what these messages all pertain to until we actually get into your spread. Now, animal spirits can come in the form of energies that you're dealing with. It can be stages in our lives. It can indicate people that are coming in to help us through a particular scenario or situation, right? So just take what resonates with you, and what doesn't, you can go ahead and just disregard that. We know it's not going to be for every Gemini out there, right? This is October 13th to the 16th for Gemini. Show me. All right, guys. Beaver energy. Water, right? So a very earthy animal, but it is associated with water. We're going to get into it, right? I'm going to review why. Really lovely, lovely, strong energy. Frog. All right. For those of you who have been at my readings before, you know the frog is a regular sort of player at my readings. He shows up periodically, and the frog is all about cleansing, right? He brings the cleansing rain. He brings the cleansing water. Again, another water animal, water element. And we have the firefly. Firefly is, of course, an air element. And of course, with firefly, we're talking about bursts of inspiration, right? The inspiration that lights up the dark. Very nice. All right, so before we get into your weekly spreads, Gemini, let's just go over what these animal spirits are bringing in. All right. So first off, we have the beaver. Now, beaver energy is interesting. Beaver is associated with water. The upside down triangle is the alchemical symbol for water. But it is a very earthy creature, right? They don't actually live in the water, but they do build their homes on the water, right? And the beaver is associated with very strong, family orientated personality. This person who resonates with beaver energy works very tirelessly to make sure that they provide a secure and emotionally healthy environment for themselves and for their families, right? So this is somebody this can be a mother or a father, but this is someone who is very nurturing, but nurturing in the sense that they work tirelessly to ensure that your surroundings are healthy, that your surroundings are uh, emotionally stable, right? Very, very nice. More than anything, the beaver really is one of the hardest working animal spirits in the deck, right? So you're talking about somebody who, although they may have a very earthy character to them, because of course the beaver is a very earthly bound creature, they are highly attuned to their emotional side, right? They're very sensitive, and not in a sort of uh, touchy way, but they're sensitive in a very empathic, very compassionate way. And this sensitivity they put into their daily tasks, making sure that everything is okay, solving problems, right, for the family. All right, now frog energy comes in as also another water elemental spirit. But with the frog is the great rainmaker, right? The frog brings the cleansing waters. The frog is again another creature that is really bridges earth and water in a lot of ways. The thing is, people who resonate with frog energy are usually people that are called upon uh, to help others who are going through perhaps emotionally difficult times, to help others with their cleansing and purification. I do apologize for the background noise. I live in a city and this is a live stream, so. But the one thing the frog has to remember, and if you're resonating with this Gemini, if you're the one that everyone always comes to, you're always the one who's kind of helping people to heal, helping more than anything, helping people, bringing that fresh water energy that help cleanse out sort of negative spirits. Hello, Amber. Hello, Vishali. Um, yeah, if you are resonating with frog energy, the one thing to take care of is that the frog can become very dried in his own, tired and dried out, right? Because the frog works so much for everybody else's benefit. And so if you're the one in your social circle that everyone generally comes to help them with their emotional times, and you're feeling a little bit burnt out, then you need to take some time for yourself as well. The frog is very, very compassionate, and loves to help others. You know, he's a healer. He's a sort of healer in a way. But oftentimes we see that with healers that they don't take the time out to make sure that they are rejuvenated and healed. Now we have the firefly. The firefly is an air element spirit. This triangle with the line through it is the alchemical symbol for air. And the firefly is representative of inspiration, right? Firefly is when you have this burst of inspiration. It could be that you've been working on a particular issue for some time, and suddenly now the solution comes into your mind, or suddenly now you have an inspiration for a creative way around a particular obstacle. Air, right? This is associated with air, so we're talking about mental inspiration, quick thinking, clear thinking, logical thinking. But more than anything, we're talking about fresh ideas that come in. And the thing with the firefly is that when you're at this, if you're resonating with this type of energy, or you're going through this kind of particular time in your life where you are sort of looking for inspiration, you need to really pay attention, because the firefly comes in and then he's gone, right? It's only for a second. So you have to really keep your eyes open, keep your keep a part of your psyche attuned and open for inspirational ideas to come in, because when they come in, it may be very quick. It may be just an idea, a vague idea, right? But it'll come in and you'll realize it if you're paying attention. All right, guys? So let's get right into your spread. Now, once we start to pull out your 3-card spreads for the week, we'll start to understand the connection. Staying optimistic about your love life. It could be that there's some blockages there, and there's a feeling of cleansing that needs to happen with this frog energy. It could also be that inspiration comes in terms of you maybe figuring out what has been blocking your relationships, and so that leads the way to a resolution. Paying attention to red flags is also on, and so as you pay attention to red flags, you're keeping your focus open, and inspiration can come in then as well to help with a particular situation. All right, so we're talking about October 13th to the 16th for Gemini. We're going to pull out about 5 to 8 3-card spreads and see what you may or may not be resonating with this week. Now, of course, remember, just take what applies to you. If it doesn't apply, just go ahead and enjoy throwing it away. All right, here we go. The first spread out is Hermit, 6 of Wands, and Ace of Pentacles. All right. So, some of you have indeed been walking a very spiritual life, a very solitary path recently, right? Let me just move this up a little bit so it's kind of even. All right. And you've really been doing a lot of shadow work, right? You're coming out of a period of perhaps having drawn away and pulled back from society, pulled back from your social circle because of a particular area of your life that needed more attention, right? Could be very well that some of you have been resonating with frog energy for a while and doing a lot of healing of others, and you realized that it was time for you to pull back and nourish yourself. And so you've been in this hermit mode, really, right? And so this week, though, you begin to perhaps come out a little bit. You begin to maybe socialize a bit more because a victory comes in, a satisfaction, a vindication. I'm going to say for some of you, it could be that in the recent past, something happened that may have been a power struggle of some sorts that has kind of pushed you into pulling away, right? That has led you into sort of leaving a particular dynamic and getting more into yourself. And so this week what happens, there's a little bit of a vindication that comes in for some of you. You have a bit of a victory, and on the heels of it comes a really beautiful new opportunity. And it could be indeed that whatever situation kind of caused you to pull back in this hermit phase, right, could have also been a situation to do with your career or your finances in some kind of way, right? And you may have even gone through a 5 of Pentacles scenario, right, which led you into this hermit. But now you come into this Ace of Pentacles. You kind of get your groove back. It's almost like Stella gets her groove back this week with the 6 of Wands. And the opportunity, a golden opportunity comes in. And you almost wake up and realize why whatever scenario caused you to pull into your hermit happened in the first place. King of Pentacles, Ace of Wands, and Knight of Wands. Okay, so some of you, I'm going to say that some of you have, this is a career spread. And for some of you, you may have experienced a certain amount of success in your career or on a particular path, right? You resonate with King of Pentacles energy in the sense that you, not only do you have the experience, but you have achieved a certain amount of abundance. You've achieved certain goals, right? You have the credibility, right? People in your field may know you for your skill, right? People may come to you for your sort of mentorship. However, I want to say that some of you Geminis may have gotten a little bit bored with this. You may have been needing some inspiration. In comes the Firefly. I want to say for some of you, yeah, the abundance has come in, the success has come in, but now it's kind of like, What do I do next? You know, you already know that you have the skill to manifest your ideas because you've achieved a King of Pentacles sort of uh, level of success, right? Or mastery over sort of manifesting, but you're bored and you needed some inspiration. I want to say this week the inspiration comes in. Ace of Wands is very closely aligned with Firefly energy, even though Firefly is air and Ace of Wands is fire. It's still inspiration coming in. And I think it happens for you this week. Can also be Knight of Wands. Also, someone comes in perhaps this week that also encourages this new inspiration. It could be that you meet somebody this week in your career that's very different than anybody you've kind of met before. And this person may be a little bit younger than you, a little bit more green, you know, in terms of their experience, but they bring this fresh sense of youthfulness to a particular area in your career, and it's just exactly the shakeup that you needed. And this week you really set your sights on this and how you're going to manifest this. But the inspiration, if it hasn't hit you already, it certainly comes in this week, and right behind it comes in an individual that's going to help you with this or want to work with you on this. Page of Swords. There's your Five of Pentacles and Ten of Pentacles. So this is exactly what I was talking about earlier. And oftentimes I say with the weeklies, there is a running theme. And some of the forecasts can be quite similar, but just at different stages. Here at this stage, for some of you Geminis, it's like a new idea has come in, a new way of looking at things has come in. It can also be that you've gotten hold of some information, right? Some new information has come into your light about a particular situation. I'm going to say this is going to be perhaps another situation to do with your career, right? And it's almost as if this Page of Swords talks about new original ideas coming in, a new perhaps way of doing business or a new way of doing something, right? It can also indicate messages. It can indicate uncovering information that you didn't know. Oftentimes it can also indicate truth coming through in situations where there has not been any truth, right? All of a sudden uncovering, peeling back the layers. The page is earthy. Aspect of air, Page of Swords. So here we're talking about really practical sort of communication. This can be letters, emails, books, information coming in terms of books, feeds, internet information, things of that nature. Whatever the case may be, it's something quite new. I want to say for some of you, it shakes things up because you find yourself this week in a power struggle with the Five of Pentacles. And this is what I was mentioning earlier about some of you maybe having gone through a bit of a Five of Pentacles scenario, and now that made you pull back into your hermit, and now you're having a victory. This is for those of you who haven't necessarily gotten to that stage. You're at this stage now. This information has come in, and it causes a power struggle this week, and the power struggle may end up in an alienation, a split in the group, a split in the dynamic, right? And you find yourself having to pay the price financially. You find yourself sort of ostracized. This is the nature of Five of Pentacles. However, Five of Pentacles generally happens, and when it happens in a scenario that needed to sort of be shooken up anyway. It's generally a dynamic that is already toxic or has the seeds of being toxic inherent in it, and it needed to be shook up anyway, right? There goes my flash, guys. Sorry about that. Let me pull down my light so you can see it a bit better. All right, so that'll be a bit better, hopefully. Okay, so and so what happens is you have the split, but interestingly enough, this split leads you to a Ten of Pentacles. And again, whatever scenario or dynamic you were dealing with here, Gemini, this was not a good dynamic. This was a toxic, perhaps, dynamic. I want to say for some of you, this inspirational thinking here, this new idea, may be something that you brought to a group dynamic at work, and they didn't want to hear it. They didn't want to indulge it. It caused a power shift. It caused envy or jealousy. Maybe people started to see, oh shit, Gemini's onto something over here. And off goes the sort of power struggle, because 5 is the number for power struggles, right? And so that could have been also the case as well, right? However, that's fine, because what ends up happening is you leave the situation that only really holds you back, and you propel into another scenario that ultimately takes you to a 10 of 10 of pentacles, right? Um, and this 10 of Pentacles is a bounty, obviously. This is the fortune. This is the long lasting. Could even be that for some of you Geminis, this is an invention, a new invention or an idea that you had, right? That uh, that has come in. And so, again, has caused the shift in this power dynamic. And you go on to this 10 of Pentacles. Hang on a second, guys. I got to deal with this person who's like, all right. Okay. Sorry about this, guys. There's some weirdo on the chat, like chatting a bunch of shit. I need a moderator. Isn't that incredible? I got 4 people on the chat, or 4 people watching and 3 people chatting, and I need a moderator because some idiots on there talking nonsense. All right. I do apologize for that. He's been blocked, and his messages should be deleted. All right, guys. So yeah, let me get back into this. The Page of Swords generally, yeah, this inventiveness that you're bringing in was definitely not appreciated. And yeah, you were ousted, but lo and behold, the fortune comes in. Follow your gut. This inspiration, Firefly inspiration, is definitely worth pursuing. All right, guys. Next spread. There you go, the Fool. You're starting on a new path. King of Wands and Knight of Swords. Again, for some of you, you're starting on a new path in your life, right? And this path is certainly going to be, again, following your own inspiration, following your heart. You're taking a bit of a leap of faith. I think for some of you Geminis, this week it's really about your originality and your inventiveness, and you being brave enough to seize it, right? Excuse me, I have to take a sip of iced coffee. Putting the work in with that beaver, putting your heart into it, right? Heart into something that you want to manifest, right? That's going to bring stability. But some of you Geminis are resonating with a huge amount of creativity and inventiveness and inspiration. You're coming up with ideas that nobody has had before, right? And you're really forging your own path. Knight of Swords comes in to sort of defend you, to hold you up, to help you defend your position, right? The Knight of Swords cuts away any bullshit, oftentimes any obstacles that are in the way of you achieving or formalizing your idea or your thoughts, right? Your strategy is cut away with that Knight of Swords. So energy is coming in to open up the way for you, right? To go ahead and, I need a moderator. You gotta moderate this. To go ahead and clear the blocks, right? Clear the blocks and obstacles to achieving this next stage, this next path, right? I don't know what's going on, guys. I'm sorry. There is like all these people suddenly coming in who want to leave like these horrible messages on my chat. These like really rude messages. So I just had to block somebody else. This one person apparently is just going to go for broke. So I got a moderator coming in a second. So sorry about that. So anyway, King of Wands is coming in also at the center, because the King of Wands is really sort of the master of originality and inventiveness and being strong enough to sort of forge ahead, right? Forge ahead in territory that has not been sort of discovered yet, right? So not only do you bring in the clearness here with Knight of Swords, and this could be also someone who comes in to help your ideas, to help you along this path, right? It can also be just energy that you're tapping in to help you sort of formalize your ideas, right? And formalize what you're going to do, how you're going to manifest this beautiful inspiration that's coming in. And then the King of Wands comes in just with that drive, right? The belief and the faith and that drive, right? This could certainly also represent a team of people who are supporting you now. Some of you may have branched off from your business or from a particular career endeavor that you're on, right? To start your own sort of business. You may have been working for somebody else and now you've done an offshoot for yourself. And again, this is a new path. And this could represent the team of individuals who are there to support you, right? So it's very strong sort of forging ahead sort of forecast here for those of you who are really about to embark on an endeavor of big importance to you, right? I'm going to say for some of you, it's certainly about perhaps starting a company or starting some kind of business that is really going to impact a lot of people. And it's all coming because you have had this burst of inspiration or you've invented something that people need. Queen of Cups, Justice, and Emperor. So some of you, wow. Okay, some of you, this could go either way, right? So this is a love connection here. Some of you are resonating, I'm going to say, with Queen of Cups energy, right? You have a cup of love for someone, right? You're being really open and honest with your feelings and what you desire, but there's an imbalance here. Some of you are either going through a separation, right? And you may be coming back together. Remember, stay optimistic about your love life, right? Some of you may be right now in the separation from your emperor, from your other person. Remember, emperor is very fiery individual. He's a leader. Oftentimes, though, he can be a little obstinate. Hello, Maria. He can be a little bit sort of stuck in his ways. And it could be that Gemini, some of you may have been dealing with a partner. And this is not gender specific, guys, right? It doesn't matter if you're male, female, Gemini, you may still have been resonating with the Queen of Cups in the sense that you are the one who's really been wanting to open up and exchange your cup. You're the one who's been really sort of compromising at times, right? More compassionate and empathetic with your lover, right? And so it could be, but yet he's kind of like not willing, right? He's not willing to give you necessarily what you want, or he's not been willing to compromise as much as you've been compromising, right? And so in between, there's an imbalance. Could be that you guys are either going through a separation. Could be that if he is, and Maria, if this resonates with you, if this is person or anybody else, Gemini out there, could also be that you're in a stasis, period of stasis while you wait for a judgment on their situation. If they're married, they may be going through a divorce or a separation themselves. In any case, there is some kind of official either judgment or declaration, or there's some kind of issue, right? Official issue to do with agreements, right? That is standing between the two of you. And you now have your back to them. They're looking at you, though. Emperor's looking at you, Gemini, and they're keeping an eye on you, but you're kind of like, until I have you completely, or until whatever this imbalance here is balanced, I'm kind of like going to pull away, all right? It's very interesting. Could be, again, also paying attention to red flags, because oftentimes if you're dealing with somebody who keeps saying they're going to go ahead and be with you, but they aren't, then you may also be needing to pay attention to red flags and begin to sort of pull away as well. But that all really depends on your scenario. Four of Swords, Two of Pentacles, and Nine of Swords. All right, so some of you certainly are waiting to strategize. Again, I'm going to say this is something to do with your career, your abundance level. In this situation, we're talking about juggling, right? You're right now juggling a lot of responsibility. You could be juggling two jobs right now for whatever reason, and you're trying to strategize, but you have a lot of anxiety. Nine of Wands talks about having a lot of anxiety about a situation, worrying about things not turning out right, or perhaps worrying about sort of reliving the mistakes of the past, making the same mistakes over and over, right? And so it could also just generally be you're not sure how this outcome is going to come here. And so this week you kind of come in with the Four of Swords in the sense that you're trying to wait a bit. You're trying to be a bit patient before you make a decision, before you move ahead, right? Oftentimes, if you do have anxiety of this sort, right? Nine of Wands, the one thing we do know about Nine of Wands is that this is the anxiety that we put on ourselves. It doesn't necessarily have anything to do with reality. Sometimes we feel anxious about situations and we begin to convince ourselves that because we feel anxious, it's a sign, right? But that isn't always the case, right? Just because we have anxiety, that's not always the case that we're tapping into some kind of energy that's giving us a sign. Sometimes we simply give ourselves anxiety because of our own sort of like unresolved, perhaps guilt from past situations, or past situations that never really were quite resolved, so you always feel like it's going to come up and bite you. But this doesn't, as Nine of Swords inherently does not represent reality. It could be that reality right now is very good. And certainly here with this Four of Swords, you're taking your time to make the next steps, and that is good. Right? Never rush into anything or making any decisions when you're in the middle of sort of feeling very anxious about it. This is going to be the last spread. Eight of Cups, Five of Wands, and the High Priestess. All right, so here we have, all right, for those of you, this is definitely the love connection, where you have begun to realize that you need to put boundaries in place, right? We need to, 8 is the number for boundaries. 8 is also the number for strengths and weaknesses, right? And what we find with the 8 of Cups, we find out, remember the 7 of Cups talks about delusional thinking in relationships, right? Pretending things are great when they aren't great. With the 8 of Cups, we realize now, we've learned that lesson, and we realize now that if we want to have good relationships, we have to put standards in place. We have to put boundaries in place. We have to have a basic criteria that people need to live up to. A bar, we set a bar before we allow them into our hearts, right? We begin to learn that we have to hold people to a higher standard. We have to make sure that people show and prove to us that they are worth connecting. You stepping on these empty cups of the past to ascend to a higher level of connection. And in this way, you're becoming stronger and more confident. Now, what happens is that oftentimes when we do this, it causes another power struggle. Here we go with another 5. 5 again, the number for power struggle. But now we have a competition. Now we have a power struggle, sort of almost like a competition of wills or of egos. Some of you may be dealing with someone that as soon as you begin to put sort of criteria in place, as soon as you begin to say, well, hang on a second, you know what? I'm going to need for you to at least put this kind of effort in, or to at least have this minimal amount of this level of respect in dealing with me. Whatever the criteria is, you put this in place and immediately they come back and now they're combative. Now they're not as easygoing as they were before because you're not being as easygoing with them. You're not allowing them to just get away with any kind of behavior. And now all of a sudden you have this battle that's like, oh, oftentimes 5 of Wands can be this, oh, well, you think you're better than me? Oh, well, now all of a sudden you want to be smart. Or, now all of a sudden you want to take the high road. This is that kind of ego that pushes back because they don't want to have to step to the plate. They don't want to have to live up to the standard. Not only that, oftentimes this is a form of gaslighting, right? This is a form of gaslighting because they see that you're beginning to pull away. They see that you're beginning to now put things in place that they have to live up to, or else this is not going to work. And so they become scared that they can't live up to that, and they try to gaslight you. They begin to try to make you feel like you're crazy or like you're asking for too much, right? This is all very toxic, narcissistic behavior. And usually when this comes up, whenever anybody responds in this way to you, taking a step that is for your benefit, for your emotional and spiritual benefit, this lets you know that this person is not up to your level. This lets you know that this person, this is a way of weeding out. This is why we put these borders in place, right? There's no point in putting this in place if you then don't listen. If the people show and prove to you that they're an asshole and they can't live up to the plate, now you have to let them go. And this is where the high priestess comes in. Because the high priestess will always be there with you, letting you know what the right decision is. If you go against your gut, if you put these things in place, these intentions in place, and then you go against your gut, you will forever be in this state of power struggle. Right? And so what happens is if you begin to do this, you have the strength to say goodbye. This becomes very easy then. You'll forget this person very quickly as soon as you take your focus off of their negative behavior. What happens is you get a you reaffirm your intuitive ability, which increases your self-confidence, which feeds back right here on Eight of Cups and ascends you even higher. This is a form of cleansing, frog energy. And this is also a form of building a stable and emotional home with that beaver energy. All right, guys, this is it. I'm going to call it. So it ran a little bit longer. I do apologize for anybody who was on there making rude comments. I need to make sure I have a moderator for these things, apparently, even if only a few people are watching. But anyway, I do appreciate, Maria, thank you so much for texting. I was looking at your chats while I was doing the reading, and I do hope that this resonated with you. Go ahead and check out the October monthly reading, the mid-monthly readings. They're all up. But next up at 5 o'clock will be Libra, and I'll be doing the live stream for Libra then. So you can go ahead and check the link for that on my channel. All right, guys. Thank you so much for stopping by. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And for right now, have a wonderful week, Gemini, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye now.